This is
Hey
a
there,
Sports
Heather. It's Jeff
Catastrophe
Curry welcoming you to another
production.
Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, September the 29th, is a star receiver for the Detroit Lions who played 9 years. He was a star for Georgia Tech in college ball. He was second overall. He was a second overall pick in 2007. He was great in all that. Unfortunately, there was a lot of problems near the end of his career. Well, he did set the record in 2012 for most receiving yards in 1 year with 1,964. Pretty good, don't you think? So anyway, Johnson holds a lot of records. Calvin Johnson does, because you should tell. He's he's in the Football Hall of Fame this year, 2021. Nice. So anyway, he was born in the Atlanta area, and he would attend Georgia Tech. So he played for Georgia Tech for football. He could have played baseball too, but his mother said no because it's too demanding on him. So anyway, Calvin Johnson put up 28 touchdowns in his time with the Yellow Jackets. He's he's number one in Georgia Tech history in career receiving yards, second in receptions, first in TD receptions, and first in 100-yard receiving games. So he was a star for Georgia Tech. So anyway, yeah, he played 3 seasons with them. He was actually projected to be number one, but he wasn't. But he didn't get picked number one. He seemed to have a good pre-draft area, so Detroit decided to take him second overall in the draft. Oakland had a chance to get Calvin Johnson, but they needed a quarterback, so they went with Jamarcus Russell. Big mistake. He was such a flop. Like, honestly. I think Jamarcus Russell enjoyed too much of the NFL life and all that. So, anyway, Calvin Johnson was picked number 2. The Lions almost traded him to possibly Tampa, but they said they wanted to keep him. Smart move. Calvin Johnson will sign a 6-year deal with the Lions after holding out. Why? I don't know. He was the highest paid receiver in the NFL. He looked pretty good and all that. Unfortunately, Calvin Johnson did tell people that during his rookie season he did use Vicodin to play through the last few months because he had a bone bruise in his back. But Calvin Johnson looked good and all that. He was a star receiver, despite the fact that he was part of that 2008 Detroit Lions team that went donut in 16. He actually finished 5th in receiving yards and tops in receiving touchdowns with 12. And the entire Lions team passed for 18 touchdowns. So that's amazing. Detroit would have a massive shuffle after that 0-16 embarrassment. Matt Millen was fired as GM. Head coach Ron Marinelli was fired. So Jim Schwartz came in and revamped the entire Detroit offensive philosophies. Obviously, going through the draft, and they had the first pick in the 2009 draft and took Matt Stafford. Calvin Johnson looked good. In fact, he thought he had the game-winning touchdown for Detroit against Chicago to start the 2010 season. But the referee said that the catch was incomplete because Johnson did not maintain possession of the ball throughout the entire process. And the Lions ended up losing that game. Calvin Johnson looked good. He had in his first playoff game ever. He actually Detroit went to New Orleans in the wild card game. Unfortunately, New Orleans would win 45-28, but that wasn't the true story, as Calvin Johnson would catch 12 balls for 211 yards, breaking Detroit's playoff record for most receiving yards in a playoff game. Calvin Johnson was just that good and all that. With an 8-year extension, $132 million. But the 2012 season was fantastic. He almost got 2,000 receiving yards, which would have been amazing. He missed out by 36. He was on the cover of Madden 13. So that's pretty good. He got it onto the Madden cover. And broke the jinx in a sense because he had such a fantastic season. He set the record for receiving yards in 1 year. So it looked good. Johnson would have a 329-yard receiving game October 27th, 2013, which actually made it second in yardage in history behind Felipe Anderson's 336 yards catching in a 1989 overtime win for the Rams over the Niners. So that's all over. So Calvin Johnson looked good. He had some great jobs, almost 1,500 receiving yards, despite only playing 14 games. Johnson looked good. The 2015 season was decent for him. He got to 11,000 yards, and it looked good. But then, shockingly, he retired. He would retire after 9 seasons in the NFL, which was shocking. I mean, it was amazing. Since Johnson was drafted by the Lions with that pick in 2007, no player had more receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, and 100-yard games than Johnson throughout the 2015 season. It was like, what the heck is going on? Like, the guy played 135 games, had 11,600 receiving yards for 83 touchdowns, which was amazing. Only played in 2 postseason games. He has the most receiving yards in a single season, 1,964. He had most consecutive games with 100 receiving yards 8 times, doing it 8 straight games. Most 100-yard receiving games in a single season, 11. And most receiving yards in a single game in regulation. That 2013 game was in regulation. It's like, what the hell? I mean, most receiving touch. He has lots of Lions records. All that. And took 3rd place in Dancing with the Stars. That was a shock that he would retire in his prime and all that. I think he was thinking that there's he didn't want to get hurt and all that. So Johnson got married to his longtime girlfriend, and he's a Christian because he has a tattoo of the crucifixion of Jesus on his left arm and a Christian cross on his right arm. And he was part of a Bible study group with many other Lions players. So yeah, Calvin Johnson was great. And I mean, retiring in his prime and all that. Detroit was not that well run as a franchise. It reminded people of Barry Sanders because Barry Sanders left in his prime for some reason. Yeah, it was shocking. I mean, if he wanted to play for a different team, he could have just asked for a trade, but I guess that he didn't want to hurt Detroit's feelings. Megatron was just that damn good, and I just wish he'd stick around in Detroit. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.